Same accreditation, huh? I don't know. It's where they steal shit and they're full of shit on these colleges. People, other colleges like that. Read the motherfuckers really. Uh, Money. People come together. This is really an opportunity time. What do you mean? When everything's shut down, all kinds of things for sale, or people come together and put their money together and buy it, live there, or even give a small loan to people, right? Get it back in a few years, right? Well, I mean, it's sad where people get online and talk to each other. You're lived by people or locked up in school with people for years, and most of you just gonna be poor, right? And you can't come together to fight things, right? In all kind of different ways, but what do you got to say? Well, where you're like, upset about how much rent costs. Imagine there's a big apartment building fucking for sale, right? Yeah. People just put their money together. You could go live there, right? Well, I mean, it's just, I guess, mostly they come from a world not, well, kind of like glory, glory, hallelujah, right? Yeah. Well, hell yeah, we can buy that shit. What do you mean? One of the downsides to a lot of things, what do you mean? Nothing for sale, right? Right? You know what I mean? Like where you could like get people to get, hey, let's put our money in, like wasn't nothing to buy, right? You know what I mean? For the most part. But now, like, a lot of shit's for sale, right? All right. Anybody gonna make any comments? Hey, who wants to invest? Who wants to be a millionaire? I got a brilliant idea. Let's get a bunch of people together and put like 1,000 in each. Let's do it, people. Oh, what are we talking about? I'm looking for investors. People to invest. Well, I have a great business idea, and it wouldn't cost much money to get it going. And, from that, like, little nugget, we can make an empire, right? Better to be capitalists and owners than just being an employee or whatever, you know what I mean? Be a multi-millionaire, right? Make an empire, right? What's the pitch? Well, I have a great idea. I'm not going to give it away. Yeah, it's a restaurant idea. There's no restaurant like it anywhere in the whole entire world. It's a great idea, and I'm going to tell what it is. Well, someone will just steal it, right? You want someone else to get to build the empire, right? You've heard all my other ideas. What do you mean? All that stuff would take a lot of money, right? You've heard some of my other ideas, maybe, right? Yeah, it takes a lot of money, right? You know what I mean? This is the way to get the money to make those ideas, also, right? Well, I know I've said a bunch of stuff out there. But I guess it'd be hard for them to steal it, right? You know what I mean? You have to be a millionaire or something to get a lot of money together. But like this idea, if I don't say it, this is an idea. Like I want more money than this, but imagine this is an idea people could start up very little money. Right? That's an idea you don't. That's an idea you don't put out there. I've had ideas stolen from me before, man. Right? Even went to court over it. Yeah, I invented stuff. They stole my fucking invention. Yeah, and it was like 8 years after the fact, right? 9 years after the fact, right? Like 9 years later, they came out with my fucking shit, right? Yeah, and it was them. What do you mean? One of those things, you know, where you call in, you talk your idea, and the employee that worked there um, stole the idea. And that's another. I can make a better version. And also, he didn't see. I had two different ideas that I sent off, and one idea I gave the blueprint, right, the manual version, right. So they made it. They had the blueprint how it works, right. So exactly how it worked. There's a thing you give them a blueprint how it works. Hey, here's the blueprint, right. The other thing, the reason they didn't make that, what do you mean they don't know how to make it? But I talked to a guy, right? Because I don't know nothing about this shit. I had like a different version, and I'm like, didn't, I don't know how that would work, but it's my idea, you know what I mean? Like, and so then I talked, imagine this guy went to regular trade school, and he said, well, here's how that would work, right? Okay. I don't know where he went or whatever, right? But but there's the idea. What do you mean? What do you mean? We could have drew up the blueprint right then and there, right? Like, here's how it works, right? Somebody just steal it. Oh yeah, well I have a great idea. It's a brilliant idea. Too bad none of y'all are real. What do you mean? What would you do if we got enough people together, or you had enough money, right? I think it'd just be better to have a lot of different people, right? That way, it's just like if you're only coming up with like $1,500, it's just like whatever. Like you don't really give a fuck. But we're gonna need a lot of people to come in then, right? I want about 200 people, man. So like $200,000. Don't really need that much. I've got it down to like where you get to put everything way less than all that. But like, it would just be nice to have capital, right? You know what I mean? Well, why do you come up with that particular number? Okay, you don't need to do that. But the whole idea was, all right, it's really just you can put it in there, but like the whole idea, since you could only have like 10 tables or something, to fully rent a spot how they do, right? It would cost about that, but I wouldn't do that. Well, they want a grease system. You're putting a way big, higher powered fucking ovens. You want to do plumbing work, different, all kinds of fucking crazy shit, which ends up you're hiring someone costs a lot of money. Not gonna do all that. The only thing we need is a venting system. And we need to go through the roof. What do you mean? You go up against the wall, it goes through the wall, and it goes higher than the roof, but you just, what do you mean? Well, just basically get a nice oven, right? Get some microwave. There might be a little things you have to do with the electrical box because we're going to have like so many things running. Um, but like looked into it, like one place I'm looked at, it would really pop off, and you could probably put about 10 tables in there. They only have a single bathroom. Like, that's okay, that'll work. I like that. That's old school where, everybody uses the same damn bathroom. Alright, so what do you mean, man? Like the cost to rent the place isn't that much. Just all the different stuff I've looked into that, like insurances, all that shit, all the things that you would have to get to just don't cost that much, man. And especially if you're not, um, we won't be using grease, we'll just be baking, right? Baking or bowling, and what does it mean? It means you're not going to have to break up the concrete or do any plumbing, right? Yeah, I'm sure probably you might have to do a little bit, but not majorly. Like do something with the add a breaker, take away, a breaker or whatever on the box or whatever. But like, basically like, this could be like the oven, even though like an oven that you could actually put in your house, right? Or a restaurant, like in either or. I'm planning on like getting a where you have multiple dings in there, but like, I'll have to look into that, man. I don't know. Well, yeah, that shit can get pricey. But that's just not that big a deal, though, man. Well, it depends on where everything's located and everything, but it just ain't that big a deal if you're gonna like run the electric along the wall, right? You know what I mean, and conduit. And even if you had, that's like one little hole you gotta put, right? Still like, where you're like fucking, a lot of demolition, a lot of rebuilding and shit, where you don't have to do none of that fucking shit, man. All right, you just gotta put a venting system in, right? All right, add some breakers or something, or maybe even get a new box. But the way they put look at it, probably would just have to like add a breaker, right? Well, the way the place looks to me, they probably have like room for all kinds of capacity for a lot more energy to be used that they ain't using. So it's just like adding a fucking breaker and adding a few different breakers, adding a few different outlets, man, right? Adding a fucking putting a little fucking circle hole in a goddamn wall, right? Running a piece of fucking tin or aluminum, stock up in the fucking air, right? Not that big a fucking deal, man. What do you mean? And still, because like, well, I forgot the other thing. Like, not going to get a walk-in cooler, right? We'll get some freezers, get an oven that ain't that big, but kind of big. Like, you want to be able to make multiple things at like one time, right? Definitely gonna need a few different microwaves, right? Well, that's the whole idea where the flow could go, man. Because if you're always having to like bake what they order, that's going to be time consuming and all that, right? So like if you're like really popping, right? The shit's already made, right? I mean, that's what you're doing. You're just making the menu, and then when someone orders, they're not ordering, in time. You're warming it up in a microwave, right? But the way this business is gonna pop, probably nothing will ever hit a fucking microwave, right? And if it did, so what? That's a real fast, right? You know what I mean? That's like, a minute compared to like fucking 20, 25 minutes, right? You know what I mean? Anybody with me? Anybody understand that shit, right? And what have you found, right? And well, I found like in my cooking experience, man, like here, anyways, where I live now. What do you mean? Usually, yeah, the warmed up food is better. That needs a cooling down breathing thing to it. I don't know, man. Probably one reason why I came up with this great idea. What do you mean? I don't know. It's just seasons, I guess. The time we're in now. What do you mean? Because I would argue to death. Like you know, man, I like it from like stove or oven to fucking plate, but it's not tasting as good as warmed up, man. Right? Because imagine you're doing both. You know, you made it, you fucking ate some. Like, yeah, not very good. You know, it settled, it got cold. You put it in a fucking microwave, right? Or warmed it up on the stove or whatever, right? And you're like, damn, that's actually fucking good, right? You know where it is? Like it's like restaurant quality instead of like this is fucking horrible, right? You know. I read about that too. It's got like, and it probably the way they make food now. There's the difference. What do you mean? Imagine how the food was made. It was made while it was shittier being warmed up. You know, it's like it's process made now to where it needs to be warmed up. Anyways, capitalism, man. I guess that's why. But like when you know what you're doing, you know what I mean. Like you know what you're working with. There's the key to everything, man. You know, when you know what you're working with, that the food's gonna be good, right? No matter what, right? And what have you done lately with the food you? I guess it's brands. What do you mean? Where it's good either way. You know what I mean? Like where it's good when you cook it and it's good when you warm it up. And that's the shit, right? And that's what you're looking for, right? Yeah, my last cooking that. What do you mean? Imagine what made you such a good cook. Well, where you like? Well, damn. When I cook it, I want it to be good, and when I warm it up, I want it to be good. So I got both that. What do you mean? But anyways, well, this it's a killer idea I got. What do you mean? I did the numbers. What do you mean? He's gonna make a lot of money, man. All right, a lot of fucking money. It's just gonna pop off. What do you mean? And especially that whole idea. What do you mean? Where you got your little fucking crowd that comes in, but like doing people doing pickups and delivery drivers come to pick up shit for people, and the whole idea, like what you're looking at, where the employees don't cost that much, the place you rent doesn't cost that much, right? But what do you do the numbers on? Like, what do you mean? Like if it pops up, what do you mean? You get the money back in fucking like 5 times or more of what you fucking invested in 1 year, right? And plus half that being conserved to open more businesses, right? Of whatever, more of the same kind of that or more ideas I got, right? You know what I mean? Like the empire to be started. Why would you never know if you don't try? What do you mean? It's just like one of those things. Yeah, if only we'd got together and invested a little bit of money, man. We could have had an empire. We could have been millionaires, right? What the hell are you even talking about? Girl or kid? What the fuck are you talking about? Guess I'm gonna get off here.